Hey guys, what's going on? Chris here with Shughead Gaming, bringing you my review for Onward, developed by Downpour Interactive and published by Coatsink. And while this is currently available on all major PCVR headsets, this review will be focused on the upcoming Oculus Quest version. Onward releases July 30th, 2020 on the Oculus Quest for an estimated price of $25. Of course, that depends on your region. Onward is a military first-person shooter made exclusively and from the ground up for VR. If you do it in the real world, then that's how you're going to do it in Onward. Realistic gun and squad play runs throughout the game's many open maps and varieties of tactical warfare modes. Single-player, co-op, or online, Onward has been a shooter staple on PCVR for 4 years that just keeps getting better and better. And it does what seems the impossible as it makes the leap over to the Oculus Quest. Can the Quest headset keep up with the master race? Let's tear this game down and see. As always guys, if you liked this video, please hit that like button. It not only helps out my channel, but VR gaming as a whole. And if you want to see more VR content from me, please consider subscribing. And for video updates, hit that bell icon. And for more VR goodness, you can also follow Shughead Gaming on Twitter and Facebook. Let's kick things off with a look at graphics. Straight up, this game should not run on the Quest. It just shouldn't. Nothing from the 5v5 online multiplayer across large and often wide open maps should be possible on the Quest. It has day and night variations complete with night vision, laser sights, and flashlights. It has fully animated weapons, full body squad mates, and AI bots. Throw in working land and air drones and fully functioning scopes. Yes, firewall players, scopes, ranging from flippable holographic sights to powerful 12x scopes. And all of this in VR, essentially running on a jacked up Switch. The fact that compromises needed to be made to make this visually work is probably one of the biggest no-shit moments in modern gaming history. But make no mistake, this is feature for feature the same as the PC version, just a little less attractive. Taking a deep dive into the visuals, concessions are noticeable with a significant reduction in resolution. However, the front and center view sees a bit of a resolution bump, keeping the aliasing under control in your direct focus. And while the overall draw distance on display is absolutely remarkable, it isn't without its share of pop-in, coming in the form of high-res texture pop-in or complete pieces of architecture. However, this is rarely too distracting, as I often didn't notice or just didn't care. What is an important takeaway here is that with only a few exceptions, Downpour Interactive have managed to ensure that what you need to see is on the screen, with the majority of the map still rendered properly and ensuring that the game never sacrifices enemy locations when prioritizing draw distances. As such, scopes simply work, even when looking down a 12x sniper rifle for a headshot on the other side of the map. Textural quality has also taken a hit, although to varying degrees throughout. When taken as a whole, playing this really is the full PC version, created pound for pound on the Quest, with textures throughout coming off more or less the same. Get up close to certain objects and the illusion can be broken pretty quick, but honestly, you will spend so much time scanning the horizon and around corners that you will rarely notice. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for the enemy NPCs that often look like they just vacationed from the N64 version of GoldenEye and came for some sun in the desert. Fortunately though, the human players you interact with do not suffer the same graphical fate and are represented by fully textured and animated bodies. These character models are by no means perfect and can at times look like stroke victims, but more often than not, they move properly, allowing for teams to effectively communicate silently with their teammates, in addition to offering a visual understanding of what they are doing in the game. Lighting and particle effects seem to have also been reduced, with many areas seeing a markable decrease in lighting dynamics, giving the game a slightly darker and less polished appearance at times, when compared to the PC version. Certain effects such as fog are also noticeably absent in much of the game, which can be felt in the overall level of immersion. Fortunately, Onward has immersion to spare, meaning none of these previously mentioned visual concessions, even when taken all together, diminish much of Onward's wow factor. This is a military sim fan's wet dream, pure and simple, with Onward just looking the part of a sim, nailing not only the feel and behavior of the game world, but also bringing with it an attention to detail in the gun models that is unparalleled across any military shooter in the VR space. In fact, given the scope of Onward and the large-scale environments, Onward is easily the most visually impressive of the 3 gun games currently on the Quest, with the side quest versions of both Contractors and Pavlov feeling all the more unfinished. Over on the PSVR side of things, Firewall Zero Hour fans are likely to be keeping their eye on the Quest version of Onward as well, and while Firewall shows a level of production quality and graphical finesse just not seen on Onward, the simple scale of the gameplay and gun-porn attention to the weaponry simply puts Onward in a different category altogether. Simply put, Onward is a remarkable visual achievement on the Quest, and one that has very few peers outside of the PC VR space. Sound is up next. When looking at the sound side of Onward on the Quest, the PC version makes the transition without fail. In fact, if you played a version of Onward prior to July 30th, 2020, this Quest version is actually an improvement on the PC version. Along with the 1.8 version update coming to the PC, the Quest ushers in revamped audio assets to an already competent sound mix. Improvements include improved gunshot sound effects, better variation of gunshot sounds depending on distances, along with many other sound tweaks and improvements. As someone familiar with the PC version, when looking at authenticity and detail, I can confirm that the once decent gun sounds are now much more in line with expectations one would have with some of the upper tier military sims on the market. And as a gamer who is always bitching about gun sounds often not being punchy enough, I cannot express through words how happy I was to see an audio option to turn on realistic gun volume. Now let me be clear, you won't be looking for earplugs, but you can forget about conversing with your team when unloading an unsilenced rifle. Speaking of team chat, this is handled by a party chat or the in-game system that uses spatial audio for close communications and a push-to-talk radio on your shoulder for conversations at distance. Music is thankfully kept to a bare minimum, as you will be listening very carefully to anything from the rustle of equipment to the whir of a possible drone overhead. In fact, as a shooter that aims for true military realism, it's all about the small things. Onward admittedly still has a way to go, as some environments can certainly feel pretty lifeless, but it nails the fundamentals of a military shooter, with even your smallest movements being communicated in the silence, and then, in the next moment, deafening from a hail of bullets or a nearby explosion. The 3D audio mix here fares about as well as the detail found in the overall soundscape, with much of the world detail falling a bit flat, and instead choosing to put its more fleshed out militaristic side center stage. All in all, Onward isn't always perfect on the sound side of things, but gun nerds will be happy, and if you're getting shot at, you're gonna know. And that brings us to gameplay. If Pavlov is Counter-Strike for VR and Firewall 0 Hour is Rainbow Six, then Onward is most certainly Insurgency, with a bit of squad thrown in. For those not in the know of their PC shooters, Onward is a shooter that doesn't pull any punches, with death coming fast, permanent, and usually from only a few well-placed shots. For players looking for a run-and-gun twitch shooting fragfest, Onward is not your game. Onward is the definition of a tactical shooter, often requiring patience, planning, and teamwork, even going as far to offer both ground and air drones to each player, which they control fully from their tablet on their back that doubles as an area map. The Quest port does see these drones limited in height, visual detail, and presented in a black and white display, but they remain an integral part of not dying in Onward, and are a ton of fun to play with. You won't find online modes like Conquest, Team Deathmatch, or Capture the Flag. Instead, you will find squad versus squad play across 3 objective-based modes, where you need to fight for control over an uplink station, get the VIP to safety, or secure an area long enough to upload a code through your tablet. For the less social gamers, myself included, there are social and co-op game modes to let you take on AI opponents in Hunt, a clear the map terrorist hunt style mode in which you can choose from 4 to 124 enemies. Yep, 124. Of course, you won't be taking them all on at once, but it's going to keep you busy. And to up your game, this mode can be played across 4 difficulty levels. The other PvP mode comes in the form of evac, in which you must hold a landing zone waiting for rescue. As a military sim experience, the AI here hits just as hard and is just as vulnerable even on the rookie settings, meaning as you increase the difficulties, they simply get smarter, using much more sophisticated attack patterns in an attempt to overwhelm you. In fact, for a game based around online multiplayer, the AI here in Onward is often rather impressive, with the Quest version alongside the 1.8 version PC update bringing in improved AI behavior. Those tired of being shot at can also explore maps freely or go to the shooting range to familiarize yourself with the wide variety of weapons in the game and work on your muscle memory. Each of the game's over 30 weapons and countless attachments spread across both factions, all of which function just like their real-life counterparts. A point in which had me actually calling a gun-savvy friend to figure out how to reload a specific gun. Now yes, manual reloading isn't anything new in VR gun games, but getting shot at while trying to properly feed a magazine belt into an LMG while getting shot at from 3 directions, well, that's something on a whole new level, and why I love Onward so much. It's not simply about how quickly you can headshot someone. Instead, you will need to become a master of your loadout, not only finding your playstyle across the 4 classes of rifleman, specialist, support, and marksman, but also getting to the point where reloading and equipment management becomes second nature. This need for fluid gun control is sure to be drilled home as new recruits realize very quickly that Onward doesn't care if you have motion sickness, mobility issues, or are simply out of shape. There's no teleportation, no crouch option, and no reload button. Instead, it requires you to move like you would on the battlefield, up on your feet, moving low, crouching for cover, and more often than not, flat on your chest. A point that also highlights why the Quest, with its wireless nature, is such a perfect fit for Onward. This all while healing, yelling at your friends, reloading, and changing your diaper. Case in point, in my first few days with Onward, I found myself dug in on a hill practicing my sniper skills when the enemy rushed me. Out of ammo, I went to reach for a new clip only to realize that I was of course laying on my ammo belt. Up I jumped to make a hasty retreat, but I failed to realize that I had actually crawled under my desk, a fact which painfully became apparent as I almost flipped over my brand new gaming PC. So yes, to those wondering still, Onward is a game that not only recommends a decent sized play space, but often requires it. Thankfully, in an effort to not be a total dick, Onward has made one concession, as it now does allow for in-game turn controls in the form of either smooth or incremental. The controls themselves, a combination of the two touch controllers and your own body, work incredibly well, ensuring that the problem was always me. However, I was disappointed to not be able to jump or climb, which seems odd in a game with this level of commitment to realism. Map count at launch is limited to 6, each with a night and day variant. However, this low number is yet a taste, as these 6 will be joined shortly by 4 more core maps, coming in the form of Snow Peak, Turbine, Abandoned, and Jungle, which are all being included when they are relaunched shortly on both PC and Quest after some further optimizations. In addition, the workshop will be open soon to Quest owners, opening the floodgates to a huge number of community-made maps, with the quality in some rivaling if not exceeding the game's core offering. Like I said previously, this is the full Onward experience, with a developer that has committed to parity across all platforms moving forward. And finally, that brings us to fun factor in my final review. My Quest experience unfortunately was limited to single player and co-op play, as the online portion wasn't available during the review period. However, with my previous experience with the full game on PC and the many hours already spent in the Quest version, I can confirm that this indeed is Onward in its entirety and fully playable on the Quest, so you can play side by side with your PCVR teammates using crossplay. As a huge fan of more tactical and team-based shooters, Onward has quickly become not just one of my favorite VR games, but one of my favorite shooters, period. The deep and rewarding gameplay is complemented with a level of gunplay and customization that is simply not present in most other VR shooters, giving it a level of immersion I think we all seek in VR. Combined with map design that is well thought out, realistic, and Onward is the most complete package for shooter fans in VR. As a previous fan of Firewall Zero Hour on my PSVR, I can honestly say this game feels like Firewall with the training wheels taken off, offering that same holy shit I'm inside a real shooter quality and the friendly squad mentality, but without the limitations and lobby issues. As you guys may know, I hate number ratings and instead rate games on a basis of buy it, burn it, or wait on it, along with some details on who this might appeal to. At only $25, Onward is a frickin' steal. The deep gameplay and community-created maps will offer fans of this style of shooter almost endless replay value, and with almost 1 million possible Quest owners being added to the established and vibrant online community, including esport competitions, this is a game you won't have to worry about dying out anytime soon. Shooter fans who love the quick and dirty respawn gameplay found in Pavlov, and to a lesser extent in Contractors, Onward could still win you over, but if run and gun one-man army is your preference, you will find yourself dead most of the time, and probably from your own teammates. Anyways guys, that's it for me. If you like this video, please hit that like button, and if you'd like to see more VR content from me, please consider subscribing, and for video updates, hit that bell icon. I'll catch you guys on my next video.